Hello and welcome. Today we are taking a look at the collections library in Python. Specifically, I'm going to be looking at the counter object in the collections library. This is one of the there are a few things that I use in the collections library very frequently, but this is probably one of the more common ones that I use. Very convenient to use the counter object. I've pulled in 3 different soliloquies from Shakespeare. So I've got To Be or Not to Be from Hamlet. I've got the St. Crispin's Day speech from Henry V, and one from As You Like It. I've got 3 different soliloquies here, and we're going to be taking a look at using the counter object to do some things with the text in here. Now you'll notice that I'm opening the file, I read it, and then I'm splitting the words. I'm splitting on any white space that's in there. This doesn't account for any uppercase, lowercase nonsense that's going on. It also doesn't account for any grammar, right? Commas, spaces, apostrophes. If Shakespeare says it's, I'm not going to be splitting that into an it and an s or an it is. It's just going to be the word it's. So it apostrophe s in that case. So there's probably more that could be done there, but I'm going to keep it simple. So very simply, we'll just do a Hamlet counter here, and we'll say counter is Hamlet text. Now, what we end up with is Hamlet counter is a dictionary-like object. There we go, a dictionary-like object that has the word and the count of the number of times that word appeared within the given soliloquy. A lot of these have ones, obviously, in here, but you can actually, the counter, when it's printed out this way, will actually have it in the order that that word was found in the text that was supplied here. So devoutly, be, wished, these are all ones, but they actually appeared in that order. Now if we scroll up, we've got twos here, right? And we've got the, of, to, the, with a capital T this time, as opposed to the lowercase t. And some of these are tied, some of these are not tied. And so it's sorted by what's the most common down to the least common. And then after, if there's any question of sorting after that, it's what occurred first. So it's important to know that. Because if I wanted to say, and this is probably one of the most frequent uses that I have with the counter, is Hamlet counter dot most common. And if I say that I want the 5 most common in this soliloquy, the 5 most common words in the soliloquy, we end up with the, of, to, the, and then an and. Now, I don't know if there's another word here that occurs 7 times, right? All I know is that these are the 5 most common, and the and occurred before any other word, any other 5th word that might have come after. Hopefully that makes sense. So what we can do here as well is we can let's create another Henry counter. Sure. Which is going to be the counter of the Henry text. And let's print out Henry counter dot most common, and we'll get the 5 most common here as well. So the first one, the, not really a surprise, of, to, the, and. And interestingly enough, the, same thing, but we also have his, not, shall, and my. Now what we can do with these is that we can actually do things like add them together, we can subtract them from each other, and things like that. So let's do a combined counter here, and we're going to just test out a bunch of these different combinations. So we're going to take Hamlet counter, and we're just going to add the Henry counter to it. And we're going to print the combined counter, most common, 5 again, okay? And let's clear out these ones. We don't need those. We'll just, okay, there we go. That should be easier. So now if we add all the counts together, we get 25 thes, we get 19 ofs, 2 and and then another and. Interestingly enough, there are capital A and, there's 12 of them, lowercase a and, there are 14 of them. So 26 times total, more often than the. So we can add these together. We can also subtract one from the other. And so we would get the difference between the two. If one of them uses a word far more frequently than the other one does, this would bring that to light. We can also look at, if we wanted to, this is essentially a list, right? So we could in fact say, what's the least common words that are showing up here? So there's 2 at 3. Oh, I'm doing the top 5. So if I exclude the 5, I'll get all the words, and we can look at the last 10 that are on the list. So remembered, orisons, sins, etc. Ophelia, nymph, etc. So these are the 10 least common words, I guess you could say, because I'm taking all of the words ordered by how common they are, and I'm taking the 10 at the very end. Let's get back to the top 5. So there are a couple of other things that we can do here. If you want to find, we showed adding, subtracting, but if you want to find the max of either one of those, it's actually just an or symbol, a bitwise operator, or in this case, that vertical pipe. And we can run that, and so that will actually take the max of one or the other. So the occurs in Hamlet 15 times, and that was greater than it occurred in Henry V, which was only, I don't know, maybe a dozen times, right? And so it takes the larger of the two. Similarly, we can use an and symbol. Oh, there we go. And symbol. And when we run the and symbol, we get only what is in the count of what's in both of them, or rather the minimum, right? It's the minimum of the two, what has the least value in the two counter objects. And we can string this together with the same thing from something like as you like it counter. So if we did the same thing with as you like it, we can just combine these together and we'll get the similar results, right? They'll obviously be different because there are different numbers here, but you can just string these together. So we can throw in an or. We could even add these together, and we can say Hamlet plus Henry minus as you like it, and we'll get a different combination there. So something along those lines, right? This is very handy for if you have lists that you want to keep separate, and you want to count the objects in those lists, or count the phrases, the text, whatever it is that you want to count in those lists, and then you can do comparisons between those lists. Very helpful. That is just about it. That's everything that I wanted to cover. This is a basic intro to the counter object in Python. If you enjoyed this, give me a like, hit subscribe. I'm going to try and create more videos, so every bit of encouragement helps. Anyways, thank you very much for sticking around so long, and I will see you in the next video.